y'all, Julie here. Are you happy because I'm happy? I hope you're happy. And I decided to do 2 easy backgrounds for you guys today, and here they are. Okay, so you see on this page I have some bleed through from my previous page. There's some ink stains here, and what I'm gonna do with this is I'm going to spray more ink on it. And I'm not really worried about it bleeding back through to the other page because I've got some pretty heavy stuff on there, so you're not gonna see that. So I've got my wax paper on this side that's going to protect my blank page, and I'm just gonna spray this down. And I'm using, if you're curious and you don't know, I'm using Dylusions ink spray. I'm just gonna add one more color here, and I hope my bottle sprays some. Sometimes I have trouble. I think the humidity gets to the nozzles down here. Even if I have a cap on it, I think the humidity still gets to it, and this one I think is not going to work. Oh, well, that's about all it's got, and I'm not going to worry with that too much. And as you can probably hear, the locusts are out in full force right now. And I'm going to dry this. Okay, and now that that's done, I'm gonna do something pretty fun. I am taking my gesso, and I use my little wax paper over here as a palette. And I'm gonna take my little brush here. I dip it in my gesso, and I'm just gonna twirl all over the page. And what this is going to do is, once it dries, and as it's drying, you'll see the ink coming through the gesso. And if I'm not mistaken, this is what a lot of people refer to as the ghosting effect. And the awesome thing about this particular background is that you can't really mess it up. You just spray your ink down and twist. And if you guys want to know what kind of brush this is, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. This is a really old brush that I have. I'm not sure who made it, or even what particular type of, what it's called. This type of brush, I'm not really sure. I'm sorry about that. It's just a really short bristled brush, almost like a scumble brush, if you know what that is. And that may be what this brush is, a scumble brush. And I'm sure you guys can see that the ink's already popping through the gesso. It's really lightened up. It's really neat looking. And this is a really simple way, if you are not a fan of bleed through, it's a really simple way to cover it up and kind of work with your mistakes. And if your mistakes still show up, you can always do what I do and tell people, oh yeah, I meant to do that. How artistic, right? I meant to do that. Shh, they'll never know. And you can do this with a small brush or a big brush, medium-sized brush, doesn't matter. I've done it with a bigger brush before, and it came out really neat. Smaller brush than this really is. It's a bit more difficult. You're not really gonna get the best effect. anything really smaller than this. But you can try, and as I said before, if you make a mistake, which you really can't doing this, I meant to do that. Or, better yet, you guys can do the twisted rose effect. And if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. That way you guys can know how to do it. It's really simple. You can get some really big circles on here. And it might make things go a little bit quicker for you. This is just kind of a smaller version of that. And also, you know, the colors, really any color, any type of Dylusions, any color of Dylusions that you put down, it's gonna go lighter underneath the gesso, and it comes up this, you know, really pretty pastel color. I did this in blue a while back, and it just really popped. It was really gorgeous, and I kept layering on top of that, and that blue just kept popping through. Okay, so now I'm gonna dry this. So now that we're done with this page, we can do another page, make it a 2-page spread. Now, in order to make one, you know, make a 2-page spread, it doesn't have to be the same background. And it can be, but it's your journal. Do whatever you want to do. I personally don't like to make the same background on a 2-page spread. But you can connect the 2 pages very, very easily. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to do another background here. And what I like to do is I like to do 2 simple backgrounds and then have something tie them in together. Now, I bought this sponge at Joann's for probably about $2 or $3, and I like to use this sponge a lot. It's very well used. And what you can do, if you have some spray, you can use spray and just spray the top of your sponge. I'm gonna move this over so you guys can see what I'm doing here. And I'm just pouncing this all over the page. And I'm gonna show you guys another way to use this sponge after we're done demolishing it with spray ink. And now I'm going to dry this. Okay, and now that that's done, you really want to rinse your brush out. Your sponge, not your brush. And it doesn't have to be like completely clean. It's fine if it's not. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something similar as to what I did over here, but with water. And you guys can see what it's doing here. And I'm just twisting my sponge a bit. Now we are going to dry this again. Now these 2 pages right now have, you know, similar techniques, but they don't look joined to me. They don't look like they have anything in common. They're not a couple. Let me get my camera back in frame here. Sometimes my camera slips out of frame, so I'm sorry about that. I try to fix that if I can. So now, as I was saying, what we can do to tie these pages together is by simply, you can take acrylic, you can take even watercolor, really anything that you have color-wise, and you can, yeah, let's do it on this page. And I have one little spray right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add just a little bit of water to that. Flip my page up, and then flip my book up. And let it drip all the way across. And even though it's one line, it connects the pages. That one line connects both the pages. So now I can do, you know, whatever for these 2 pages. I might layer it some more, I don't know yet, I haven't decided, but for these 2 layers, for these 2 pages, pretty easy, pretty simple, you know, not super labor intensive, not something that you overthink, not something that you have to really think about, and it's quite therapeutic. So there are your 2 backgrounds. Show me what you've done. If you guys have done something similar to this, I'd like to see it. Okay, and here's a split screen of both backgrounds. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure did, and I thank you so very much for watching. And as usual, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys really soon.